Hi, welcome back to the Spotlight. I'm your host, Nicole Pogue, U.S. Navy veteran and director here at Azura Veterans Coalition. We are live in the Defender's Den, our wellness lounge and venue in the suite adjacent to our resource center. And welcome back. Yeah, so it's hot out there today. We had a lot of overcast lately. I was loving it. Reminded me of home in Washington State. And now the sun's coming back out. It's like, gotcha. It's still going to be warm for a little while longer. It's like the opposite of Groundhog's Day. I don't know. Is there a thing here in Arizona? You got one of those weird guys that symbolizes the trickery. What's that trickster? That guy that's on all the highways. And anyway, yeah, Arizona's it's got all the climates and all the things on all the walls that haven't figured them all out yet, especially the little critters. But yeah. Anyway, today we have a female Marine in the house representing local agencies. She's an advocate, and we have a couple of our volunteers here as well. So first and foremost, I would like to announce that we will be relocating. Our final day to be in this space is November 22nd. We are still trying to secure our new home. We're trying to stay in Mesa, close to the rail, so that veterans that are coming from Phoenix or from anywhere in the Valley, greater Phoenix area, or in the state can reach us. And we've looked at a couple places potentially, and yeah, they're a little out of our price range. So if you know of any donors, sponsors, or any other available units here with those parameters, please reach out to us at info@azuravets.org so we don't have a break in services. And we also would like to invite you to volunteer to help us with the move. If you have any special skills, if you have trucks, just a couple extra hands, or if you just want to help us get our transition on so that we don't have a break in services, that would be wonderful. Please reach out to us. We are also looking for a case manager, somebody who is dialed in with the veteran world, who has traversed the VA healthcare system, who knows what it's like to have your life on the line, to be struggling, to be found hopeless, and to have a level of trauma-informed care within them, whether that be a social work degree, peer support specialist, trauma support specialist, anything within that purview, who can sit down across from another veteran and say, I see you, I've been there too, this is how I got through it, let me show you how, and let people know that they're not alone. We, as the Department of Labor lost funding, we lost a couple special programs, and a couple of our work study students are no longer with us. They've either scaled up, moved to a different university, or they found another work study position that fits their lifestyle better. So we are running on fumes here with the client load still evolving and increasing every single day, and we really need your help. Please come down here so we can, because I like to say here, we don't say no, and I would hate for that to be the case. So please reach out. We need your help right now. And we got your back. Help us so we can help them. We have a couple events coming up on Fridays. We have military medicine with Gold Star mom Goldie Murphy. So this Friday, come on down, 9 a.m. and learn how to play the ukulele or the guitar, or just hang out in the Defender's Den and chat with other veterans. We're open. We have coffee, donuts, and other snacks and what have you. October 11th, we're partnering up with Quiet Waters again for another wellness event. And we have a new doctor of holistic modalities. She's an acupuncturist that will be informing us of the benefits of acupuncture. And we'll have Kaimisha Guy's dad on stage again, telling us his story through Vietnam, what it was like before, during, and after the war, and how he raised a family surrounding that, and how Kaimisha followed in his footsteps, and she built her family full of service members as well. Just a great opportunity to come in here and hear of other people's stories of service and receive a massage or a facial or a haircut, or get to do some battlefield acupuncture. It's super helpful for pain and the reduction of depression, anxiety, and sit down with other people, and you can see in real time how that just melts right off of their body. I've done it. It's great. Everyone in here has partaken in it. Kids are welcome. So come see what we're all about, and enlist other people to help us. So, and if you too are a practitioner, we need your services, whether that be Tai Chi, yoga, meditation, breath work. We're looking for people to donate some time to share some awareness around how these modalities can help you long term and the benefits outweigh what medicine can do for you without side effects, right? So, all right, let's introduce our guest today. I forgot your name already. Marine, Devil Dog.
Devil Dog.
Cynthia,
Yeah.
welcome to the spotlight. Thank you for coming here today. You're
Thank
a really
you.
busy woman. You sit on a couple boards, and you've been a veteran advocate in this area for quite a while, and now you're in the health services field, advocating for your fellow brethren and sisters and making sure everybody is heard and seen and gets the value that they deserve through these services. And man, you're out there. You're doing all the things.
Trying.
Doing. I see you, girl. I see you doing it. How do you do it? Why do you do it? Where'd you start? You grew up where and you joined the service? Why?
Oh my God.
Who is the woman behind the uniform?
Who is the woman, right? Who is the kiddo? Because I feel like I'm a kiddo lost in this world, just trying to make it through, right? So born and raised in New York City, and I'm one of 4 kiddos. 2 of us are Marines. And so I was the first person to serve in the military in my family. I'm first generation Hispanic, so you can imagine how that went over with my parents.
What's that mean?
Yeah. So I'm Dominican and Peruvian, and my dad's a really strong, headstrong Peruvian, and the idea was women don't belong in the military.
Mm-hmm.
And so I waited till I was in junior ROTC, Army, don't judge, right? Army junior ROTC in high school, and then I went and got my associates, and I said, you know what, there's something about the uniform. And I did the round robin, all the recruiting offices except for the Air Force. For some reason, they were never around. Don't know where you guys are hiding at. But I ended up joining the Marine Corps because they were the ones who gave me the hardest time. And so I said, you know what, if I can make it through that, I can make it through anything in this world. And so I enlisted at the age of 20, and I went to my dad and with my enlistment papers, and I said, Dad, look, this is what I did. Immediately disowned me. Kid you not. It's all right, we're friends now.
Okay, good.
But yeah, he disowned me for a while. And because he said women don't belong in the military. And so I went in, broke my mother's heart, and I joined March 27th of 2001, but I didn't go to boot camp until 2002 January. So that was after 9/11.
Yeah.
Right. Being in New York, being there when it happened, it was quite the experience.
I didn't know that about you.
Yeah.
Wow.
Wait, what didn't you know?
I didn't know that you were in the city when it happened.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It was so where my bedroom window, my dad still lives there. Where my bedroom window is that you can see what used to be Shea Stadium. That's how old I am, right? I can see Shea Stadium from the window, LaGuardia Airport next to it, and then a wonderful view of Rikers Island, and you can see a wonderful skyline. No, but all jokes aside, when the planes hit, I remember I was on the highway, and you can see smoke, and it was from a distance, but you could still see it. And so it was chaos that day. But it was hard for New Yorkers, right? And just like the people in D.C., right? It was hard for them too. But yeah, I ended up going to boot camp. I ended up going into Kuwait at the end of January of 2003. And so it was in Kuwait, was in Iraq, came back. I was actually reservist out of New York City, Long Island to be specific. And I don't know, did my second tour in Iraq 2004 to 2005. And so had a little bit of fun, I guess. I don't know how you determine it's fun, but some people find it fun.
What did you do for fun?
I was radio operator, and so I was based out of Al-Assad, but got to go into Fallujah and a couple other places. And so just so that you know, the Lioness program wasn't like official until a certain time frame came out, but women were attached to infantry squads.
Let the viewers know what that program is.
The Lioness program?
Yeah.
So it's basically saying it's a program to where women, I think it's just women Marines, right? Or soldiers as well.
Yeah. I don't think the soldiers were allowed to do that then.
I don't know. I know it was women Marines. They were actually being integrated into the infantry units, and so they had MOSs that were assigned to women Marines. But I was a radio operator. When you're a radio operator during the first election of Iraq, as we know, there was, and I don't want to go into Iraq too much, but at that time, I remember they were embedding bombs into women's bras, and so they needed women Marines to, search, right, at the voting booths.
Yeah, they were doing
so,
some other things we probably shouldn't say on air
yeah, I know.
that we've seen.
I know. Well, that actually led my mom, without exposing too much of my mom, but that gave my mother such a hard time because it happened in our first deployment in 2003 where things were happening to women service members. And so.
Oh, yeah. I mean.
You remember that?
Yeah.
Not to get too graphic, but can I say it or no?
Yeah.
So women in the military were getting raped and decapitated. And so it's no shocker. I look like somebody's mom, sister, friend, or I have generic features. And so there was a time where my mom had to stop watching the news because they were posting up pictures of victims, right? And so my mom was just afraid that I would be one of those girls.
So your mom probably has a little bit of PTSD herself.
Oh, absolutely. So I went to Iraq a couple of times. My brother went to Afghanistan a couple of times. And so he was also at an embassy in Chad, Africa. That wasn't fun either.
Oh, yeah.
And so, it's funny because I've raised 5 kids. No, I like to say 4.5, because my son has a half brother who lived with us for a few years, and so I helped raise him for a little bit. But I've raised about 4.5 kiddos, and so one of them is a girl, but the others, they are guys they're all men who joined the military. 2 of them are sailors. 2 of them enlisted in the Air Force. One of them is leaving November 25th. And
For which group?
Air Force.
Okay.
And so I have my son, my baby, who's also waiting for his date for the Air Force.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I say that because it's different to have served. It's different to be a spouse. It's different to be a sister, and it's different to be a mom, right?
I don't think I've met anybody who checks all those boxes.
I always say the only box I don't check, so I say I'm a brat, right? But I'm not a military brat. And so that's the joke, right? Because I serve every other way. So I'm a spouse. Well, I was a spouse because my battle buddy was my first husband. So veteran, spouse, sister, mother. I was in Fallujah with my first cousin. And then my sister married one of my battle buddies who he's been in for 23 years in the Marine Corps. They're all Marines. But the joke is that Marines don't make Marines. We all make sailors and we make airmen.
And you don't make male babies if you work on Harriers. And with stress levels super high, like the sperm count goes down. It's like harder to have or the level of chromosomes, like the Y chromosome, doesn't transfer for males with high stress. It's a thing,
Really?
Yeah.
Well,
so a lot of males who serve in active duty, who are like in combat zones and stuff, typically have more female children than males. Yeah.
So my ex-husband has 2 boys. My second husband, he's a civilian. So, but my first husband, it's 2 boys. But the first one was before he joined the Marine Corps, and then our son, and it was after my second deployment.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
But there is a thing about working on Harriers and messing with the boys, and only popping out girls. It's a thing.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Because I was in air school in Pensacola, and a bunch of the Marine instructors were letting all the guys know this,
Interesting.
Yeah, and then I just heard something the other day on another. There was a veteran on the podcast talking about how the Y chromosome just doesn't get transferred due to the stress and all the things. So.
Poor girls.
Anyway, well, it breeds strong women anyway. So
it does.
And then now you got all these kids in the service. Now, how do you feel about that, especially with your boy getting ready to go?
It's funny because if anybody knows me, I'm not a traditional individual. I am in some aspects, As far as like, respect is concerned, that I'm very traditional when it comes to that, respecting certain practices, but it's respecting individual, right, your elders. And so, but as far as mentality towards my children go, there's a meme. Is it orcas? I can't remember. It's like it looks like a little beaver, right? And it says some beavers, I think it's a beaver, they feed their children to like to whoever is hunting them.
What?
they give up their babies. It says if you're having a bad day, just keep in mind you're not a horrible mom. These animals feed their children to.
They look so cute when they're holding hands, and you don't know that they're just gonna run away from the predator and feed their children. That's
So it's not that I adopt that mentality, but I adopt the mentality of we raise our children to not necessarily be ours.
Yeah.
Right? We raise our children because one day they're going to be out and you want them to be productive members of society, right? So like my kiddo, he learned how to read at the age of 4. He knew how to do a lot of things. He was very independent at the age of 6. And so at this point, he's 19 and like he cooks for me. And so am I going to miss him? Yeah. But at the same time, I have it in my head of he's not going to stay here forever. Right? Traditional Latinos, your baby's not going anywhere, right? And if they go, they're going down 2 blocks down the road, right? And so
so did you get that kind of parenting from your dad? Because he sounds like he's no, I don't know, you developed that on your own?
I was that kid, let's just put it that way.
Okay.
I was that kid.
Pretty much he's like, women don't belong in the military, you're like, watch me.
That's our relationship, and he out of 4 kiddos, he's like, you are the worst. And he goes, and you are just like me. And it's true, right? And so he used to tell me when I was a kid, he's like, what are you, their lawyer? Because I used to defend everybody, right? I'm like, Dad, this is not wrong. You're wrong, Dad. And I was always the first to tell him, Dad, you're wrong. And he's like, what are you, their lawyer? And so now I'm like, it makes sense. I'm a veteran advocate.
Yeah. So
right?
You've always had like this sense of justice with you.
Absolutely,
like always.
Absolutely. And so growing up, my dad would say, hey, now it's boy, girl, boy, girl. My older brother's 4 years older than me. My younger brother's 3 years younger than me. And my baby sister's 6 years younger than me. And so I remember my dad, we would hear, pots and pans and clashing in the kitchen. And we're in the living room watching TV. And my dad's like, hey, your mom's about to cook. Go help your mom cook. I'm like, okay. Well, then I get up. I think I was like 9 at the time. And I turn around and I look at my brother and I'm like, let's go. And my dad's like, no, you go. Women belong in the kitchen. And he's going to stay here and watch TV because one day he's going to work. And that's what men do. And I'm like, what makes him so special? And that was always my mentality. What makes you different from me? And so the joke was that Cindy never knew how to cook. I'm Cindy at home. Cindy never knows how to cook.
Do you know how to cook?
Secretly, yes.
So when your son goes off and he does all the cooking, you're like, now I got to go buy some frozen meals or something.
No, what's funny is that, I do know how to cook. But like if we're having like a house party, everyone, like even my cousins, like my cousin's going to cook this, my mom's going to cook that. Everyone's like, Cindy's just going to do security.
Perfect.
She's going to be the bouncer. But no, so it's funny that my son, growing up, I'm like, all right, bud, like if I have a long day, because I'm a single mom and I want to stay single, right? And so just so you know. No, but like if I'm having a long day and I'm like, hey, bud, what do you want for dinner? I'm like, do you want, because he loves canes, right? I'm like, do you want canes or do you want this or do you want me to cook? And I'm driving home and I'm like, and he's like, I want you to cook. I'm like,
absolutely, honey.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm like, I'm exhausted. He goes, but I would much rather your cooking than In-N-Out or Cane's. And it goes down to, you ever read the 5 Love Languages?
Yes.
His acts of service.
Yeah. So you're a single mom and you're super busy. How do you do it all?
Help.
Right. Help.
So how?
So that's the question of today. So it being Suicide Prevention Awareness Month, which is great that the nation is paying attention to that this month, but we deal with it every single day.
Yeah.
So it doesn't feel like a special month. It it's great to bring that out there, but it's something that we focus on every day. And because people don't ask for help, or they can't ask for help, they don't know how, and they're stuck. And so you ask for help because you know that if you don't,
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. I ask for help in different ways, right? And you ask a great question because there was a point in time where I was raising four kiddos with my husband at the time, and it's hard. It really is, right? And I didn't know what a hobby was for a long time. And so when life changed for me, I went through a lot of therapy, right? And so I learned that having a hobby is part of self-care. And so now I practice Muay Thai. And so I look forward. You should
that
feel
is not a hobby.
Listen, that is a hobby, right? And I
Okay.
love watching UFC, so don't judge me.
I'm not judging you. I knew you were gonna go somewhere extreme with that. It's not like, no, I don't knit. No, I do Muay Thai. What?
You think I would go home and knit? Like
Well, when someone
there's
says
nothing
hobby,
wrong
you
with
don't
that.
think martial arts.
Yeah, well, there's nothing wrong with that. It's just
but that is self-care for sure.
it is so. I don't see myself knitting.
It's discipline. It's body movement. It's mind-body connection. It's spiritual almost, and you have more of a reverence for yourself. I think it's awesome.
Yeah. No, I feel it. And to be honest with you, and it's not that I'm an angry person or I need anger management, but I have to tell you that everything that we've got pent up going on all day, when you go and hit the bag,
Yes.
right? Or, if you really think about it, it's like you ever sit in traffic and you just want to choke someone out? Let's be honest.
I used to.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you go somewhere to where someone actually goes to class, pays to go to class, and they want to get hit and they want to hit. And so that's what I do, and it's fun.
You're part of some underground chick fight club.
Fight club.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. Hey, it's very
We'll talk
humbling
about
when
it
a
later.
16-year-old sweeps you. Let's just put it that way.
How long have you been doing it?
About 3.5 years.
Cool.
January will be 4 years.
So that's your outlet.
That's my outlet. But as far as because you're right, I wear multiple hats, councils and committees, and it's just, am I the best at all of them? I'll be honest with you, no. I really wish that I was better at some of those roles. But when I say ask for help, it's really, hey, it's reaching out to individuals who are good at certain things. Right? And it's okay.
That's a leader mentality right
So
there.
it's like, if I'm not good at this, hey, let me call this person. Can you do this for me? Or can you do this for that person? Or how can we do this together? Right? That's the best way to do it, right? Now, I always say, now don't get me wrong, like Behavioral Health Connections is the organization that I work for. I love what I do for the organization. I love that I get to help not just veterans, but their family members in the community as a whole, especially when they're struggling with mental health and addiction. But I say that while that excites me and I love doing that, I say that feeds my son. And what feeds my soul are these councils and these committees, to where it's like, some people are like, do you get paid for this? Like my family members, do you get paid? I'm like, no. Like, are you crazy? And so I say, well, that's what feeds my soul, right? When I have a veteran, you call me. Obviously, if I refer them to Behavioral Health Connections, that's technically part of my job, right? But if I'm able to support someone and I call Marcus, hey, Marcus, I have someone who doesn't have any clothes for the next week, right? I will tell you that I was heartbroken because I wasn't able to give it to this person. But because of Marcus and Veterans 5 to 9, he was able to say, how much do you need, right?
Yeah.
I'll give you X amount of dollars. And I went to Walmart. Now, I'm not a huge shopper. Like, if I go shopping, it's for necessities.
You don't shop, you don't cook. What kind of woman are you?
Hey,
anyway.
Listen, my mom says, my mom's like, God gave you a pair of boobs, and I don't know for what. Like, so I'm like, but I like heels. No, but like I went to Walmart. I like shopping for others, right? And so like I went to Walmart and I was able to get her, clothes and one outfit for 5 days a week. And then I was able to get her, because with Work for Warriors, I got her connected with Work for Warriors.
Awesome.
See, help, right? Community partnerships are important.
Yeah.
And so with Work for Warriors, I was getting her in line with getting her a job. And so she was actually staying at one of our facilities at Behavioral Health Connections, one of our hospitals. And so I was able to get her 5 days worth of clothes. I was able to get her, I think, 2 outfits for interviews. I got her, I mean, it was like $5, but I got her like a pack of like 12 earrings. I got her like generic makeup because that's important for us,
Yeah.
right? Like hair ties, a brush. Got her a nice, pretty backpack, you know, the roller boards.
Awesome.
And so what broke my heart is that I had to run to a meeting, but I ran back to the hospital and I'm like, I dropped this off and I'm like, please give this to her. And so she ended up giving me a phone call the next day, and she and I were both crying on the phone.
Oh.
And I'm like, I really wish that I was able to give it to her,
to see her face.
to see her face. But she called me and we were both crying, and I had forgotten about it. I went to work, and I think like a month later, the behavioral health technician that was helping her, I saw him in the hallway, and he stopped me and he's just like, what you did was amazing, right? What you did was amazing. And so
because he got to see her transform.
He was the one who gave her the bag.
Awesome.
He was the one who gave her the bag. And so it's things like that where I'm just like, good.
It's addictive when you see other people doing it. You're like, I want to feel like that too. I want to be able to give it. How do I get to do that? That's how you enlist people when you do those acts of service, and everybody can see it, whether they see you do it or not. But they see the joy on that person's face. And
you know, honestly, I think what makes it even more, I think where my passion comes from and where my compassion comes from is that I've been in a similar situation.
Who helped you out?
God. And I'm not a religious person. I was raised Roman Catholic. I'm a very spiritual individual. I am not religious, just like I'm not into politics, to be honest. But I do believe in God, and He's gotten me through certain situations where I'm just like, I don't even know how I got out of it. So
how long did you serve in the Marines?
I was in the Marines for 6 years.
And you got out to choose to do what? Or for what reason?
I was a reservist out of New York, and so was my husband at the time. He was NYPD, and I worked at a college for, Bank Street College of Education for School for Children. And so it was time for me to either re-up or get out. And so I looked at him, and he's just like, well, one of us can stay in, but both of us can't. Because at that point, my mom was helping us with these kiddos, and I'm like, we can't have my mom raise these kids. I want to raise my kid. And so I got out to be a mom and to be a spouse, and he stayed in. And so,
did you come back with those war wounds, those unseen?
I didn't know it yet.
Yeah.
Yes. In hindsight, yes. And one moment that stands out to me is, so we came back March of '05. And so that was after Fallujah. And so living in New York City, we didn't live far from LaGuardia Airport. And so we were sleeping, and there was a moment where a plane came down really low, and I woke up, and it sounded like a missile, I swear to you. And he grabs me and like puts his hand on my chest, and he's just like, we are home. We are home. You're okay. We are home. And I said, okay. And for a split second, I thought about it. I'm like, who cares that we're home? Can we curse?
Yeah.
Okay.
You didn't see the episode with Jaime Martinez.
No, like, well, who gives a shit that we're home?
Yeah.
No one gives a shit that we're home. Look at 9/11. What does that even matter? And so, like, that stuck with me. But that was in hindsight. I didn't catch that until years later. I'm like, no, I did feel it when I came home, right? I did feel it when I came home. And I say that we all have daily reels, right? Things that play on every single day, scenes that play on every single day that maybe we don't talk about, but we think about it. And so I actually reached out to one of my buddies there's a scene from my first deployment to where we got our first rocket attack. And I remember I was fixing my LBV, and I was attaching my my Gerber, and I was attaching, rearranging my water bottle and all of that stuff, and my
Being a total chick.
magazines.
Yeah.
Right.
Does my ass look big?
No, because okay, so
Am I wearing too many clips?
I was 100 and maybe 125 soaking wet. And so in 2003, I don't know if you remember, but that's when we all started going. That was like the new wave.
Yeah.
Nothing matched. Like I had like desert camis, and then I had like woodland flak jacket, and it was ginormous because they didn't have my size. And who has an extra small of anything in the military, right? And so I'm wearing a size medium flak, which is like down to here, and then I'm wearing the the groin plate, which is down to my knees. We had because anthrax was like a huge thing at the time,
I know, that series
and the gas mask and all of that. And so you can imagine what I look like walking around. So I had to readjust everything because I'm about to step off with another medical company, and we got hit. And so I remember the floor shook. I feel like everything just shook. And I remember he was a sergeant at the time, and I think I was a lance corporal. And he's like, let's go, let's go, let's go. And in hindsight, I'm like, why did they do that? They shoved us into 20 quad cons, like a 20-footer, a giant aluminum can. Because not all of our bunkers were done yet, and we were still filling sandbags.
Oh, man.
So, yeah, safe.
Safe.
But yeah, that's one of my reels that keep playing on.
You're like, why? Just why?
It was just a random, that's one of them. And I'm like, why that one? Why that specific one? And I wonder.
Caught you off guard so much. Like,
I think so.
do you recall being like more hypervigilant after that?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You're like, F this, I am going to be prepared.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm very wary. I still have a hard time. I'm getting better, but I have a hard time sitting in the middle of a public space. I have to, the typical have to look at.
Why would you sit in the middle of a public space?
If you go to a restaurant.
Don't do it.
I can't. So, like, my best friend.
That's what I'm saying.
So my best friend, she thought that I was kidding in the beginning when we would hang out. She thought that I was kidding because we would go to a bar and we would hang out. And so if we're sitting at the bar, I make sure I sit at the edge of the bar to where I'm like, okay, I can see, including the kitchen, there's 4 doors, right? And I saw how many people came out of the kitchen. And, I was looking at different things. I have blackout moments, so I don't know why, but I'm afraid of people walking behind me. I don't like people walking behind me. And so even if you're walking by and it's far and I feel you, you may be like 2 feet, 3 feet away, but I still will feel somebody. Yeah. And I don't like it. So she thought that it was like an exaggeration, and she's a civilian. And so with me, she's learned a lot on how to deal with veterans, to the point where I would have sweaty hands. Mm-hmm. I would start to sweat. And at one point, I literally just started crying at a bar, like at the counter. And so I was just like, I need to move, or I need to leave. And so I'm trying to hold it together. I'm trying to keep it together. That's when she saw me, and she's like, oh, this shit is real. And so that's when she realized, okay, so from now on, we got to sit with her back to the wall. We got to sit here. We got to do that. And so
that's how it happens too. You don't know that it's happening too. You don't know what's happening. You're just like yeah, I remember when the first wave started coming over, and the understanding of what your body just starts reacting.
Oh, yeah.
And so it is an overreaction. For the body is in that fight or flight response. Mm-hmm. And if you're like, I'm safe, I'm just chilling with my girls, just having a drink, and then that happens, it's so pervasive. It takes you out. I remember when it happened, I was having those PTSD blackouts, and I just could not recall. I'd end up miles away or in a different room or in a different, it started happening like that. It scared the crap out of me. And I went to my dad, and I was like, something's wrong.
Yeah.
And I had been saying that for most of my life. I had a lot of trauma before the military too, but this was totally different. I think I had been more into my body, and I think when you do drop your senses, the body keeps a score, right? It's like, nope, you got to keep those defenses up. Mm-hmm. Something's about to drop. Yeah. And that little thing right in the back of your neck I could feel it right now. That's why I still carry these ice packs with me, because it does just come up. Even with the amount of work that I've done, it still comes up.
Oh, yeah.
And but we can do work around that. So places like Behavioral Health Connections and other treatment centers that offer these techniques. I love DBT and tip skills. It has saved my life. That's why we offer those modalities here, because you got to be able to pick those tools up and know what it feels like. So for someone who's just feeling it for the first time, it's super scary. And then you got your friends or your family with you, like, what is your problem? You are making a scene.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then there's a shame spiral. And then so much happens right after that pivotal moment. I had to leave college multiple times because of this. I couldn't cope with it because I didn't understand what was happening to me.
So
yeah.
You want to know something funny?
Yeah.
Okay. So I got my associates before I joined the Marine Corps. And so after I got in the Marine Corps, 10-year gap, I freaked out. I'm like, holy shit, I got to go back to school. So I get here and I'm like, you know what? I'm going back to school. I enroll at ASU, right? I enroll at ASU. I even have my ID somewhere at home, right? I walk in there and I'm like, all right, I'm going to go to school. I got this. Girl, I opened the door and it was like a class of like 100 people in there. I was like, nope, I'm not enrolled. I'm going to disenroll. I'm done. And I ended up going, a lot of people judge me, but I ended up going to DeVry University.
Because it's all online? Or it's a smaller campus?
So it's a smaller campus, but DeVry did not have a good reputation for a while. So that's why I say that. But I ended up going to DeVry because classes had no more than 20 students. And so all of us had jobs. Most of us were already adults, and there was quite a bit of us who served in the military. And so I felt very comfortable there. And so from there, I ended up staying there and going to Keller and got my MBA, but through Keller, which is the same school as DeVry. But I wanted to go to ASU. I enrolled at ASU, and I freaked out. And I'm sure that ASU has smaller classes, 100%, but I didn't know it at that time. At that time, I freaked out, right? That flight or fight. And so I was just like, I'm not doing this. That was quick to just say no.
Yeah.
I should have given it a chance because I know ESU is a good school.
Well, you never know. I mean, you're like, but I know what I can handle. So you had your boundaries. You're like, I still want this. Let me find a better way, a better solution. So you were still navigating that for yourself.
Yeah.
Which I think is awesome because I, still have, 2 more semesters of my undergrad. I went to college for 6 years, left without a degree, left with a whole bunch of knowledge about myself and many studies. So I know a lot about everything, but without the piece of paper that says I'm golden to go. I would stand in the back of the auditorium of, because major classes, biology class, big, and I couldn't focus on anything. All I could hear is people opening up their chip bags and clicking their pens and breathing heavy. I could hear their braces moving. I mean, it was extreme, and I did not know what it was, and I had to leave so many times. It took a lot to come back and stay. I thought it was just a discipline problem for me, until I found out that I had like massive ADHD and unchecked PTSD and wavering addiction, so it was a lot to go through. Did you have to go seek help outside to help you combat any of the stress that you were dealing with?
Yeah, but it wasn't until late. It really wasn't.
After college?
It was after college. I think we can all benefit from counseling, to be honest with you, in different capacities, right?
Yeah.
Whether it be one-on-one, group therapy, inpatient. I'm a huge, advocate for all of that in general, period.
Well, they don't teach us enough, in secondary and high school and everything.
They don't, and neither do your parents. But your parents don't know, right? And it's also part of your culture, right? You don't get help, right? Because you don't need help.
Oh,
right?
yeah. Oh, yeah.
So it took me 7 therapists to find my therapist. And then he got promoted and left.
Man, that always happens.
So after like 2 years, I was going through a divorce. And I'm like, well, shit, I'm going through 2 divorces at the same time. And then I never went back. Because I tried another therapist after him and it didn't work.
So at what point of all of this did you ever reach the scale of suicidal ideation or an attempt? Yes?
Thank God, not an attempt.
You don't have to share on that.
I don't talk a lot about this.
You don't have to. But to know that it crosses all eras.
It does.
All
It
ages.
really does. But I was overwhelmed at one point. It's funny because I teach military cultural sensitivity at our facilities, at a few of our facilities at Behavioral Health Connection, and I teach new employee orientation about the military culture. Because of the Compact Act and certain legislation, we're able to open our doors even more. I mean, it was always open to veterans, but because of that, we are letting veterans know, hey, we are we have a staff that is culturally sensitive, and we are educated, and we understand that you're a special group. And in that class is where I have my testimonials, and I talk a little bit about my experience. And so I don't know why it's a little hard now, but it's okay, because if you put everybody together, I've taught like 300 people, so it's okay.
What kind of questions do they ask you?
They don't.
Really? Why do you
they
think they
do
don't ask questions?
Well, they do ask questions, right? Because I wanted conversation. I'm so sorry. I'm hitting this. I want it conversational. So they do ask questions, but part of the presentation that I provide is my testimonial, my life, because that's what makes it real, right? If I teach you A, B, and C, and I come in with the knife hand and this is how the military works, it's not going to stick. But if I'm telling you my story, you're going to remember my story.
Yeah.
So what I tell them is there are things that keep us up at night that we'll never talk about, right? And I say veterans go through that, but you know what? Not just veterans, we all do. If you've experienced grief or trauma in your life or loss, we all have something that we think about that we never ever tell anybody. And it's every single day, right? And then we have the other things, which is life, that happens. And sometimes when shit hits the fan here, what happens to this? It becomes real again, right? Well, at one point in time, I was a mom of a 6-year-old boy that got with a man who had 3 kiddos, and I love those 3 kiddos. But we were the main household for all 4 kids, and we had our 2 moms living with us. So 3 Hispanic women in 1 kitchen, you do the math, right? Homework, long hours of homework. We had 2 kiddos who were in the same grade. I was doing 3-4 hours of homework a night.
So there's no room to process that little guy back there.
Wait, there's more.
Oh, geez, girl.
I was dealing with an ailment that I got from the Marine Corps that the VA didn't acknowledge. So we were $77,000 in collections because I had to go through multiple surgeries. I was in ICU for like a month over at Arizona Heart Hospital. And at the same time, I was getting my MBA. And so putting all that together with this, and my husband being a civilian didn't really understand what this was because I never spoke about it. And that I understand him. That was frustrating because I would never talk about it, but he knew something was up because I would hit him at night and I wouldn't remember. I would hit him in my sleep. And he ended up reading a lot and learning about PTS and all of that. And so unfortunately, my choice was going to be pills. And you know, and not to blame anybody, but with time, I've accumulated a giant Ziploc bag of different types of psych meds. And so
many of us have those bags.
Right.
Yeah.
And so one of them was lithium, and I had other ones. And so, because when one shit didn't work, let's try another one. Let's try another one. And so I'm like, well, fuck it. I'm going to just save this bag just in case that one didn't work. Let me go back to this one. And I got to one point where I was just, you know what? I'm just done. I'm done. And then my 6-year-old boy was not 6 at the time. He was 11. And I'm always the go-to person, right? And whenever somebody needed something and I'm studying in my room, Cynthia, I need this. Mom, I need this. Or, you know. And I got to one point where I gave up, and my son came up 3 times in one day. And I'm a person who showers twice a day. I didn't shower for like 4 days. I was just in bed. And I was working in this field at the time. And so after the 3rd time that my son came up, he's like, Mom, are you okay? Are you okay, Mom? And I'm like, I'm fine, bud, I'm fine. And my husband, he was so patient with me, and he goes, "Are you okay? Do you want me to take you somewhere? I'll take you somewhere." And I thought about it, Nicole, and I was just like, you know what? If I'm going to make this work, if this is actually going to happen, and I'm going to make it work, because if I can't live for myself, I got to live for that kid who's 11 years old, because he's my only biological son, and I cannot do that to him. So I tell him, I'm like, no, I'm going to drive myself. I'm going to drive myself. Now, I live in Surprise. Fuck, that's a long drive.
Yeah.
A lot of thinking, right? And so I'm white knuckling it, and I'm driving down to the Phoenix VA at the time, and I decide to give a hotline a call. And I said, hey, I hear about you guys a lot with the line of work that I do. Help me. And the person on the other line said, okay, well, go to the nearest VA. Well, that's what I'm doing.
Wow.
And I'm calling you because I'm on my way there, and I wanted to see what you can do for me. Well, no, you're doing a good job. I mean, just that's what you're supposed to do. Just go to the VA, and, you know, you should be good to go. And I hung up. And I cursed them out, and then I hung up. And so I'm telling you this because this is part of where my passion comes from, right? So I get to the VA. Now, mind you, before I continue, I'm not here to bash anybody. This is more so me explaining you my experience and using it as a tool for education, right? Because if you've got a large hospital system, you're going to have great experiences and bad experiences. I don't care which hospital system you go to, right? So I get to the VA. It's a Monday. And I stand in the mental health clinic. Keep in mind, I do this for a living. Keep in mind, the VA is one of our community partners. And I stand in line, very humbled, at the Jade Opal Clinic at the time, which was their mental health clinic. And I get to the window, and the guy's like, oh, how can I help you? And I'm like, I need to see someone. Okay. So I sit in the lobby, the nurse comes, and she gets me, you know, the whole, tell me your story, what's happening, and I fall apart in her office. And she's like, okay, let me bring you back to the lobby, and I'm going to get the psychologist to come and pick you up so she can talk to you further. I said, okay, great. An hour and a half later, that same nurse comes out, because I went to the window. I'm like, I'm still waiting. So the nurse comes out, and she's like, I'm so sorry, but the psychologist went home, and we didn't know. She went home early today. Can you come back tomorrow? And I look at her, and I'm like, I just told you I was thinking of killing myself. And I meant it. I told you I have a plan, and I have a full bag of meds at home. And you're telling me to come back tomorrow? And she said, I'm so sorry. So I left. And so I go home, and I wake up the next day, and I'm like, no, I need to do this. I have kiddos that are looking at me, and I need to set the example. It's not about me. They are watching me. Yeah. Right? And so my son was the baby out of all 4 kids. And so I got in my car again, and I went back. And I went back to that window, and that the same guy was at the window. And he says, oh, you're back. And I was livid, and I was scared, and I had all these emotions, and I'm standing at the window, and I'm like, you know what? I need to see someone now. And I have a seat. I'm like, I'm not fucking moving. And when I told him that, because that nice person that was there yesterday is not there now, and I made like a stern look, and you know, and I made eye contact. I'm like, no, I'm not moving until someone sees me now. And like he can see that I was trying to contain like all of my tears, and it's just, I'm having a hard time. So he said, okay. And that's when the same nurse came out, grabbed me, triaged, and I was getting triaged, and I called my brother, and I called my sister, and then I called my dad and my mom. My brother understood, and my sister understood. Actually, I told both of my brothers, but my brother understood, the Marine. My sister understood. And I called my dad, and he goes, well, why is it bothering you? You left the Marine Corps like how many years ago? It's a long time ago. Why is it still bothering you? So that goes to show the things that that our culture deals with sometimes, right? When there's no education. And so I end up seeing the psych, and after seeing him, I had that remorse that some of us get. I'm fine. I'm just kidding. I'm fine, right? When they talk about, okay, you're going to get admitted. No, I'm just kidding, right? And so when he said, all right, well, I need you to sign yourself in. And I said, no. And he goes, well, if you don't, we're going to petition you. And when he said that, I literally broke down, like sobbing, uncontrollable. I'm like, fuck, I've gotten to this point to where I never in a million years thought that someone was going to tell me that they're going to petition me. And what that really means when you're going to get petitions, it means is like you're going to have to be admitted, without you being it's involuntary admission. And so I'm like, well, fuck, I thought boot camp was hard, but I think the hardest thing was signing my name on that line. And that was the first moment of like, it was a new road for me.
Yeah. I'm really proud of you for doing that. I'm really glad you're here today.
Thanks.
Do you think that is what saved your life?
100%. There, it's funny because I don't talk about work at home. I don't bring it home because at home I'm Cindy, right? And I like it that way. And at work I'm Cynthia. And someone else asked me to be on a podcast a couple of years ago. And my son didn't know this story. He didn't know that he was my why.
Oh.
I said my why was 11 years old at the time. He never understood that. And I remember we were in a car, and I had been playing phone tag with this lady, and then I was taking him to a doctor's appointment, and she's like, oh, can you talk now? I'm like, I really don't want to. I'm like, but I keep playing phone tag with this lady. And so I ended up telling her this exact same story, and he's in the car. And he's like, why don't you share work? Because I want him to know that he's my life. The kiddos that I raised, they were my life. And I don't want to mix that, right?
Well, it gets really brackish when you do that. And I think those are great boundaries. Because when one bleeds into the other, your emotions from one to the other can cascade, and then you're taking violence out or aggression out here and there. It sounds like you stopped it. You knew all of this. Obviously, it was apparent. You're laying in your bed for days and not showering. You're not able to take care of yourself. So you're like, something's wrong. I need to go get checked in. So you did like 3 or 5 days. Yeah. And through that process, so you fell apart. You're like, were you able to release and let go a little bit? How did that help you ultimately? What was it about those 5 days that helped you? What did it allow you to do?
You want to know a secret?
Yeah.
I discharged prematurely because I knew what to say. Messed up, right?
No, it's not messed up.
It's messed up because sometimes I know people that have discharged prematurely, unfortunately, because they knew the right words to say. And knowing that I was able to do that, all of these different elements that I've experienced help build the passion that I have. So I'm able to call someone on their bullshit, right?
Yeah, I mean, it kind of takes the person who's gone through it to get the other person to come through and seek the help.
Right. So the few days that I was there, someone helped me, but not really, which is why I discharged early. Because I was there on a Tuesday, and by Friday, I'm like, I'm not staying here. Because at that time, the programming was completely different. There was no real programming at that time. It was a bunch of, recreational therapy and maybe 1 or 2 groups a day, and that was it.
Yeah, and it's the horseshoe.
It was the horseshoe.
Yeah.
Right. And so I'm like, what am I doing here? I'm not doing anything here. So I'm not going to be here Saturday and Sunday just so that I can make a colorful butterfly. I can do that at home.
So if somebody was in your position today, going through what you went through, how would you suggest they proceed with those thoughts, those emotions, so much to lose, but unable to escape that mental space that they're in? What do they do?
Find your why and stick with it. Because if you're to the point that you just don't give a shit about your life, find that one important person, find that one important thing that would really be impacted by your absence. So I didn't care about myself, right? But I knew that my 11-year-old son would have a hell of a hard time without his mom, right? So someone in my position, right, who...
What if they have nobody?
If they have no one, find a purpose. You know, we just had Veterans Community Forum last week.
And Dr. Carl says that all the time, yeah. When we lose our purpose, it gets really dangerous.
It gets really dangerous.
And like Diana Crane says, we got to find a pumpkin, whether it's Muay Thai or what have you. We got to have that grounding thing that we do for ourselves.
Yeah.
That could be our why.
Mm-hmm.
Or support groups. That group of people can be your why. Someone to hold you accountable.
Absolutely.
Someone that will hold you and let you fall apart. And you're like, I'm good. I needed to get that out because I was making it up to be something bigger in my head because I didn't feel supported and there was nobody around. Nobody could hear me. Nobody can understand me, and so on and so forth. Whatever comes up for you, but you're not alone.
Mm-mm.
You can call me or Cynthia. You can call the Veterans Crisis Hotline. You don't have to go to inpatient if you call the Veterans Crisis Hotline.
No, but I do want to talk about going inpatient because I know it's funny. I had this conversation at the forum last week where a lot of people
that was in Peoria, right?
It was in Peoria. A lot of people are afraid to seek inpatient care because of the way that Hollywood portrays inpatient facilities.
So that's our job as individuals who have gone inpatient for extreme stress and suicidal ideation to let our demographic know what it's really like.
Yeah.
It's not Hollywood.
No, you can share my information if you want on the podcast. You can share my info. You can text me, hey, I'm struggling, and I can help you get into one of our facilities. So, for example, one of our facilities has a Patriot Support Program, which is a unit dedicated for actively serving actively serving military and veterans. And it is a unit that has employees who have served in the military or, have spouses that have served in the military. And it is a specialty program to where we understand each other, right? You can be inpatient for stabilization for 5 to 7 days. There's no straitjackets, right? A lot of people are afraid that there's straitjackets. No, it's not like that, right? It's very friendly, right? It's a space to where you're feeling safe and supported. It is, think of it as an emergency hospital for mental health. So you know how you go to the emergency room for a broken leg? Same thing. Our hospitals are 24/7. So you can call me, you can walk into our hospital, and they'll take care of you. Or if you don't want to do inpatient, you have outpatient group therapy, and you can do virtual. If you don't want to leave your home, if you're afraid to be in public, there's a virtual option.
That's awesome. I like that's available.
Mm-hmm.
I never heard of that when I was going through mine.
Me neither.
I don't think I would have fared well with it anyway. I wouldn't have done it. I really needed to be locked up. I needed to learn about my ailment. I didn't know what was happening, and my body was going nuts. I was afraid of what I was capable of. I think when you have that kind of a break, it's paramount that you seek inpatient care. I did learn a lot, and I was able to calm down and learn so much about myself and learn from other people. And hearing those stories did change how I viewed myself and what I could hold, thinking like I can't do this. All the narrative, the limiting beliefs that I had, a lot of them started to change very powerfully, swiftly too.
Yeah.
So it is helpful and beneficial, especially if you know what your why is. You're like, I want to get back to them as fast as possible. Please give me this rapid recovery.
Yeah.
Because if you do a lot of external things, it takes a lot longer. Like outpatient courses, I've done a lot of those too, but it's
Yeah.
long term,
But
which you should still do as a tier down approach after inpatient.
I think so. I'll be honest with you. Outpatient group therapy worked for me. It really helped. Group therapy, look, being in group therapy, being inpatient, one thing that I can tell you, or a couple of things, but one thing that I can tell you that I benefited from is that bonding, that brotherhood, that sisterhood, that experience that you have sharing life experiences, right? You're right. Sometimes our trauma goes beyond our military service from our childhood. And being in a quote unquote locked facility, right, that everybody's afraid of, we create our safe space. I don't know how it was when you were, inpatient, but when I was inpatient, our safe space was each other. Kind of like when you were on base in a remote location in the middle of the desert, right?
Yeah.
You were you were exposed and in a very dangerous place, but what was your safety place, right? Your safe place was your tent, your hooch, right? With all the clowns that were in there and, joking around and, all the crazy stories. It's very, very similar concept when you were inpatient, at least for me, to where it's just you're able to rely on one another and share your shared experiences, right? Or share experiences that no one's ever really heard or they don't share with you, right? But you give them perspective. You get their perspective.
Yeah. What groups do you know of that are out here that are actively combating veteran suicide? Like it's in their name. I know that the VMLC, the Southwestern Veterans Chamber of Commerce, they are amazing. They have a great program, and they've donated to us for our prevention program. And then what other groups do you have that you know of that are actively pursuing to cease this from happening at the scale that it's happening? Oh my God.
Veterans Affinity.
Veterans Affinity for sure, because post 9/11 and our Vietnam vets are the most vulnerable population right now who are suffering the most.
It's funny because, again, I just bring up the forum because it's so fresh and things have happened at that event.
I referred someone today to Veterans Affinity, and it's pretty much every day.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
Well, what's funny is that at the forum, I always say the sea of shirts, right? Because
his blue shirt.
His blue shirts. All you see is the sea of shirts. For those who don't understand, it's Veterans Affinity. Anytime that you become a member of the Veterans Affinity organization, you get a T-shirt, and it's just a wave, right? And
they have a new purpose.
They have a new purpose. And
our elderly are susceptible to the isolation and loneliness, which are the precursors to suicide.
Absolutely. And so someone asked a question in the audience. What are you guys doing about suicide prevention? What about suicide prevention? And before I was able to answer that question, someone from the audience from Veterans Affinity raised her hand. She came from Globe to Peoria to this event, specifically for this event. And she raised her hand and she goes, do you know that Globe was one of the top cities or top towns of suicide among veterans? And because of Veterans Affinity, that actually has reduced. And the reason why is because the value of connection, the value of physical of actual communication. Get out of your house, get off your butt, let's go. Sense of purpose, right?
Yep.
We have to go help out another Marine. We have to go to this event. It requires your participation. It requires your attendance. It empowers the veteran. So one of the things that we struggle with getting out of service is lack of purpose, right? And so what do? No one gets us, so we stay in our couch and we just watch TV or we play our video games, right? And so Veterans Affinity gives you that purpose that you need.
Yeah. There are many groups out there combating this epidemic, and this state is pretty high up there with the population's propensity to act on this. So we want to reduce that, not just in the veteran community, but as a state as a whole.
Yeah.
And as a nation, ultimately,
Oh, yeah.
we're all suffering. There's a lot going on with, keeping the politics out, but what happens in leadership, it trickles down. We lose faith in things, then we could lose faith in our families. People start fighting amongst themselves for all of these reasons. So staying strong, finding those values again, owning them, walking with them every day. I think if you stay values consistent, that's going to keep you with your purpose, solid in your purpose. But once we start veering away from our values and compromising and following other people to fit in, to get out of isolation and loneliness, I think we need to find those like-minded individuals that we can, that have the values that we have. Military being that, right?
Yeah.
And prior active duty. Like if we get together, we have those instilled in us. We just have to recall them. When veterans recall all of that and they come back together, those shared stories, the triumphs, right, that we've had, and all of the falls. Who helped you get back up from that? How did you do it? How long did it take you to do it? Let's get back up faster. That's what resilience is. Every time you fall, you get up faster and faster and faster. It's a skill that we learn. So you're not broken. You're okay just the way you are. You just need to hone in on this skill, and you learn it from others who have gone before you, just like any other skill. You go to school to learn something, right? And then you have to repeat this over and over again to get better at it, to master it. And then once you do, then you teach, and you bring another person back up with you.
Yep.
That's how we get to save the community.
Yep.
By having podcasts like this, by having the Defenders Den, by having groups like Veterans Affinity. It's not just, and it's the outreach like Globe and all of our Native American population.
Tribal
It
communities.
is difficult to have, like if we had to take our model and put it out there, I wish we could do that. And same with Globe. I would love to take what we do here and match it across the state. Have like satellite resource centers like this.
Absolutely.
Because I know that Dana West, when she was with the DVS, she went out there often to run events and bring the awareness and research out there to these people, the resources.
Yeah.
That was one woman, she did a lot. I'm happy where she's at now with
Southern Arizona needs some loving too.
Southern Arizona,
needs a lot of loving.
Yeah, we could do a lot, I think we as an organization here could definitely do a lot. We find our new home, we'll be the hub, and we can put these satellite resource centers. I'm unveiling our new logo next week so everybody can see it.
I can't wait.
Yeah, so I think what you're doing is amazing, inviting people to come into Behavioral Health Connections because of this Patriot program. Is that what you call it?
Patriot Support Program. So we have 5 different hospitals. We've got Valley Hospital, Quail Run, Via Linda out in Scottsdale, Calvary. It's an inpatient rehab treatment facility. And then we've got Palo Verde out in Tucson.
So if somebody's suffering right now, they can walk into any of those hospitals.
Any. 24/7.
Whether they're service connected or not?
It could even be a civilian.
Right.
Because we have specialty programming, like for women, for adolescents 12 to 17 years for the girls. We have the Patriot Support Program, which is for our population. We have a women's program also, inpatient. So let's say, because we also have an indigenous program, so Native American unit. So let's say we're a woman Marine or a woman sailor who is expecting or going through postpartum depression. You walk into our facility, you don't immediately have to go into the Patriot Support Program. You can say, hey, you know what? I'm Native American. I think I feel more comfortable going into the Native American unit. Or if I'm going through, postpartum, I would rather be on the women's unit. You can go to the women's unit, but you can still program with the Patriot Support unit. You can still have a program or participate in a program with the Native American unit. So we try to cater to the needs of the patient. And it's not just for the veterans. Again, it's for the whole community.
I like that with the new act, you said people can get inpatient treatment without having to go through the VA.
Compact Act. Yep. So Compact Act is legislation that came out January of 2023 that says a veteran does not have to be enrolled in the VA. If they are struggling with suicidal ideation with a plan or an attempt, they can be seen on any level 1 acute care facility. So an emergency facility that treats behavioral health or mental health. And the VA should pay up to 30 days of inpatient care and 90 days of outpatient care.
That's fantastic.
Right.
Because a lot of people do have that outlook on the VA. They're like, I'm not going through those doors.
However, there are parameters that have to be met, right? So it doesn't apply to those who have been dishonorably discharged. You had to have served at minimum 24 months of active duty service, or if you were in the Guard or reserve capacity, 100 days in combat. You had to have suffered military sexual trauma. So there's certain parameters that have to be met. But nonetheless, even if you are dishonorably discharged, it doesn't matter. Walk into our facility, and even if the VA doesn't cover you, if you don't have any insurance, we'll figure it out. We work with Access, we work with Medicare. I mean, there's ways that we can help you. I cannot tell you, it breaks my heart, Nicole. I look at what is called our activity log, our call log, every morning. And it tells you how many people have been admitted and how many people were not admitted and why they were not admitted, right? There have been a few times where I've seen people where they sat down and they saw how much the cost was going to be, and all of a sudden they're okay and they walk back out. Like that, it's frustrating to me because the instance that I told you, the story that I told you, that was just one time that I thought about it and that I really was going to seriously act on it, right? There are other times where I've had those thoughts because of situations that I've been through. And to be honest with you, they were all financial based. Right?
Yeah.
So when you're on the verge of homelessness, when you're on the verge of like, shit, how am I going to feed my family? That does something to you, right? It's not just, oh God, yes, I'm fearing that I can't support my family, but you're also like, this is impacting me. I'm a failure, right? It's impacting your ego, especially if you're a sergeant or you were an NCO in the military. You were taking care of others. At this point, your legs are getting cut off, right? To where you won't be able to take care for anybody.
It's a different kind of responsibility when you get out.
It is.
You have to take care of so much more infrastructure as a person.
Right.
Yeah, it's daunting at first, and then children, and people get sick, and yeah, life happens to everybody, and that overwhelmingness, it is because a lot of people want to hold it down. They have that pride, that ego. I can do this. I can do hard things. Yeah, you can, and you can do it with help.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't have to be in a big facility like that.
No,
it can be on a small scale with 5 people in a room.
You can. Now, here's another thing: is that you're asking about resources for mental health, and Behavioral Health Connections is great, right? Now, it's great for mental health and detox, those struggling with those ailments, right, and those challenges. But we still have another aspect to worry about, and that's housing, the finances. And so those resources are important to note as well.
Yeah, when people come in our doors and they're like, I need all of these tiers of help, or I'm going to take my action into my own hands. It's like, all right, well, let's slow down.
Yeah.
What's the alligator closest to the boat? That's what we like to say here. Let's target that first.
Yeah.
And once you get that small piece of momentum going, okay, check. That's done. See, we could do that.
Yeah.
We'll do the next thing, and just slowly start chipping away at things. And like if the first thing's too big, let's break it down.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't have to do it all at once, but it is manageable. It is doable.
Yeah.
And asking someone to hold on a little bit longer, it's like, you don't have to do this alone. We'll keep checking in with you. What else do you need? Okay, I don't have that, but I have a community partner who has that. We could also give you a space for this. Oh, you need Roger that? I know another group who does that.
Mm-hmm.
Having that all in one house is beautiful.
Yep.
Beautiful. And I have you and other agencies that are certified. They have the lived experience, and they have, the amount of practicum to add to that.
Yeah.
So when somebody comes in the door, I don't like to say, I don't know. I'm like, so-and-so was just saying this the other day. And you give them that little glean. It's like, let me give them a call right now.
Oh,
I love that I can call you or Marcus or Rick or any one of these other groups that we have here, and just they're on speed dial. How can I help?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Nope, they got to do this, and this first. Then call me back. Yep.
But that sounds like
everybody
Rick.
answers. That is totally him. That's probably why he's coming
like Rick.
His energy is awesome, because he's like, I'm gonna walk right up to the director of the VA right now and demand that something be done about this instance. I can't say a lot about a case that I dealt with last week, but it was so sad. I was like, this is so unacceptable. And her community was doing nothing about it, which pissed me off even more. And she wasn't a veteran. Her dad was a veteran and he died. And she called us for help. And I was like, so I called her community. And I was like, you guys knew about this before I knew about this, and it had been going on for a while. And I was so mad, man. And that's that sense of justice in us, right? That keeps us bringing in these resources that are going after more groups to bring in here. It's like, this is what we're dealing with over here. It's huge. It's alarming. And where are they going to go? Because people have all these misconceptions about what it's going to be like once they go in. So we need to be up here championing each other, telling each other stories. Like, this is what I thought it was going to be like. This is what it was actually like. This is what I know now about myself, what I can and cannot handle. And like we were saying before we started filming, that there are some things that are out of our control.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, what saved you? And you said, God.
Yeah.
My 11-year-old. So having that bigger sense of purpose, if you don't have that tangible piece to walk into, to hold, to look at every day, vision boards are amazing, things like that work, affirmations and what have you, but a higher power of whatever you want to call it, that could be your source of energy just for today. And it's all just for today. We don't know what tomorrow brings.
Oh my God.
But there is somebody you can call today right now that will get you to the next day.
Absolutely.
And I'm not going to be like, yep, you're serious about this, and I know you said you had a bottle of whatever at home or a loaded something. Why don't you just sleep it off? When you were telling that story, my blood was boiling. So
I looked at her in disbelief, and I'm like, the only reason why I'm coming back is because I work in behavioral health, and I know.
You're like, what really grinds my gears? So I bet your testimony has changed the way they do things. And a lot of other people have probably changed the system over time.
No, I've never really said that story out in public.
I've called that hotline a lot of times, and I've hung up a lot of times because the person on the other end was not qualified to handle
So here's the thing.
my level of care,
Well, here's the thing. And like I said, I mentioned a lot of things, right? And I say that my passion grows because of it. And it's not to point fingers and say, hey, you suck, right? It's really to understand operationally, it's an opportunity to understand how things operate and figure out how they can be addressed operationally, right? So think about it this way. Let's say you were on the other side of that phone. You're picking up that phone, and every single phone call that you get is a crisis.
That's literally my job right now.
Right. And you do that, but what I'm saying is that you do, meaning a suicidal crisis, so veterans, the crisis hotline.
Yeah.
Right? You're picking up that phone for 12 hours a day or 10 hours a day. It's a tough job.
They should not be working that much, first of all.
Right, or 8 hours a day. Right, but even still, because I know someone who worked in a crisis center as well, if every single phone call that you pick up is going to be that level of severity, you're going to say, at the end of the day, you're going to be like, all right, yeah, okay, what do you want? You're going to be so jaded. You're so jaded.
Are you jaded? Do you deal with compassion fatigue? And how do you deal with it? Do you take vacations? Do you do Muay Thai? What else do you do?
I do. I do take vacations. I do Muay Thai. Sometimes my phone is always on. I will tell you that. My phone is always on regardless, and my family knows that. I have been doing this for about 9 years, and I think 2 weeks ago I had compassion fatigue. And so I was just like, I don't give a shit anymore. I'm just fucking done. And it was someone they were being stubborn. And when I hung up the phone, my son was just like, I've never seen you do that. I've never heard you say that. And I was just like, you know what? Just sometimes it's hard when people don't want to help themselves. That's when it happens for me.
Yeah.
When you work harder for someone else and they don't want to work hard for themselves. That's when it happens. And how do I deal with it is I call someone else and I say, hey, can you deal with this? Because I need to separate myself from that situation. And I just separate myself from the situation. Because at the end of the day, that person is calling for a reason. And the last thing that they need to hear is a no.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
So I don't want to say no and shut the door. I'm just going to say, hey, this person is going to help you right now. And I'll just walk away from that and just disassociate for my well-being.
Yeah, that's why there's different levels of care.
Oh, yeah.
But there are a lot of warning signs for people who are truly struggling with the idea that they would be better off no longer being here. And there are a lot of warning signs. And I have a link that I'm going to be putting in the description that lists them all out. So if you know of anybody who's struggling with any of those line items, please feel free to reach out to us or call the VA. So there are hotline numbers in there for all of these instances. That doesn't have to be the crisis line, but it'll give you someone to talk to so you can unfold the situation or how to talk to the individual about what's coming up for them. Because I think we could save a lot of lives if we notice those things. Even our strong friends, like we were saying earlier, we have to check in on our strong friends. We don't know how much they're holding it in, especially people who are in the line of work that we're in. First responders, people inside of hospitals, day in, day out, no breaks. It is that we have over 600,000 veterans in this state. And
you know the number went down? Because I kept saying that.
It was
Someone's like, no.
It's lower now.
It's like under 500. Where are we going? We're either dying or moving. Well, no, okay, that came out wrong. But I meant like old age. Like
we have about 50,000 female veterans. So that's a small minority too. So looking out for that population we're another vulnerable population.
Yeah.
So I think when you see a veteran out there, when you say thank you for your service, you could, add to how you doing today. I was leaving 32nd Street VA clinic, just went in to grab something, and on the way out I just saw this Marine just in a wheelchair. He was just kind of leaning over, just staring at nothing. And I looked around, I was like, there is nobody out here hanging out with this guy. So, I was on my way back here, but I was just like, I'm like, what's going on, Marine? How you doing? And he was just all, sad, and he just like, oh, I'm doing really good, and he did not look like he was doing well, but he was happy that someone could, take the time to say what's up. And that's really all it takes to change somebody's day. Whatever limiting belief, thought pattern he was stuck in, if whatever loop, whatever reel was going through his mind, you just cut it right off.
Yeah.
And you gave him a purpose for today.
Yeah.
Somebody smiled at me, and that's kind of like my prayer is like when I walk through the day, like I'm grateful for every step, for every breath. As long as I keep my head up and I smile, I can touch somebody with a little bit of peace if I do that. And then if they smile back, it takes me out of myself. So those acts of service are great. And it doesn't take anything to be kind. To say, hey, thank you for your service. How are you doing today? Are you good? Any of that. Just some acknowledgement. Any human being, right?
Yeah.
Because you don't know what they're going through or what they're on the verge of doing. There has to be some kind of intervention, whether it's divine or just another person asking another human being in this crazy world. There's so much stress coming at us, and social media and internet and what have you. Turn all that off, meditate, come into your body, breathe, relax, find your pumpkin, do some Muay Thai, jump rope, breathe some air, find nature, do something outside of what you normally do. Like, you got to break up the cycle.
Oh, yeah.
Any way you can. Take those. I have alarms on my phone throughout the day to remind me to smile, to remind me to breathe, to remind me to know where my feet are. I put my hands on my heart at 3:20 every day, and I'm like, I am safe. Because you forget where you are. And then the body remembers what it was like when you get in those stress modes, and then those alarm bells go off. So if you catch it early and you remind yourself of who you are, what you're doing, why you're doing it, like give yourself a purpose.
Yeah. Kudos to you.
Well, it took what it took for me. I mean, I had to fight for it, just like you're like, I got to do something because what I'm doing isn't working.
Yeah.
And then it helps to share with my sisters here, and thank you for coming on the show and sharing your story. That's awesome. I wish we can get more people in here because it gives us more data to reach others out there.
Yeah.
Because we're not all one and the same, struggling with the same instances. It doesn't have to be about war. It could be about money. It could be about, I just lost the last thing now I'm done. It could be anything.
Losing your last person.
Losing an animal. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
House fire. Anything. Environmental. Wrong person got voted in. I don't know. A lot of things take a lot of people out. You just don't know. We all come from different walks of life, different walks of faith. We all have different kinds of dads beaming down us.
Oh, yeah.
We have different voices in our head. I mean,
some of us multiple.
I know, but I don't like to talk about it anymore. No, they're in remission. We're friends now.
We're friends, exactly.
I'm totally joking. But I do. I have a sense of purpose. I have a higher power, and I have friends. I have people I go to. Dana West, she gave me a little gift when she came on the show. It's a magnet, and it said, just effing call me. And it's a magnet you put on your fridge, and she's got her number on it. I think that's really cool.
I love that.
And there's a woman out here, Michelle Cleveland. She's developed an app 24/7. So it's dialed in. All you have to do is push a button, and it dials all of your buddies if you're in a crisis. And if somebody doesn't answer, it goes to the next one. So you don't have to do any work. You just push the button and it goes down.
I love
Yeah,
that.
I want to get her on the show and talk about what she's doing. I've met with her once, and what a powerful story. I mean, there's people who care about you out there, and they don't even know you. Like,
They don't.
You are really not alone.
So can I say something? I know we got to wrap up real quick, and I know I can talk a lot. So
We can
sorry.
talk about this all day because it's happening every day.
Well, if I know we always talk about us saying, okay, reach out, right? But I think just like what you did leaving the VA, having that responsibility, because essentially I know we all have a lot on our plate right now, all day, every day, right? Especially if you're a parent or you've got whatever on your plate. But I feel like as humans, we've got that responsibility to look out for one another, right? And it makes your day. So instead of encouraging us who are struggling, hey, ask someone, talk to someone, I would like to challenge us who, yeah, we may be struggling, but the ones that are for the most part okay, look for signs on other people to see whether or not they are okay. What I mean by that, right? So I came with a migraine, right? And so I know that you saw me smiling, but you know me. And even though I was smiling, you knew I still felt like shit, right?
Yeah.
Because you could see it in my body language.
Yeah.
You could see it in my eyes, right? Same thing. If someone is smiling from their mouth, it means nothing to me. It's if they're smiling from their eyes.
Yeah.
Right? If they're smiling from their eyes, how are their shoulders? How are they dressed? I look at that, and that leads to, hey, how are you doing? Are you okay? Or sometimes that drives people nuts. Don't ask them, how are you doing? Are you okay?
I've had a relationship end because I asked somebody too many times if they were okay.
Yeah.
And it's like, wow.
So crack a joke.
Yeah. Well, that, comes back on the other person. Like, do I take myself so seriously? Do I always need to be okay? I learned a lot. I got a lot of reflection from that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have to always be okay. It's okay not to be okay.
Right.
It doesn't mean anything's wrong. It means I'm going through a shitty time. And
yeah.
We all have peaks and valleys, but
yeah.
Everything, this too shall pass, means the good and the bad. It's all how you react to it and how you just find gratitude in the day.
Mm-hmm.
You are alive. You have a purpose here today.
Yeah.
There's so much to be grateful for.
Yeah.
What are you going to do today? It's really up to you. Like, nobody's over here commanding you to do shit.
Yeah.
You get to do whatever you want. And I think when we let go of what we're supposed to do and what we should do and what we ought to do, you don't have to do anything you don't want to do. You really don't. You have responsibilities. Yes, you should probably feed your children. That's probably a good idea.
Don't throw them at.
Yeah. I mean, do the responsible thing, of course, but ultimately you can shift gears whenever you want and come down and just say, I need to take a break. And sometimes I just walk the hell out of a room, don't I? I'm talking to you. Okay.
You're like, nope, checking out. I'll
Someone
be back.
called me out the other day. They're like,
10 minutes. Give me 10 minutes.
Like, that was so disrespectful. And I'm like, look, here's a card. So next time I have to leave a room, I'll just throw this card down on the table. It's like, I need a minute. I'll be right back. But I get to do that. I get to allow myself to do that. If I'm uncomfortable in a situation and it's causing me if it's causing me any kind of pain, I'm going to leave before it gets to a heightened state where I implode. Yeah. And then I'm not going to hear anything you're saying anyway. I think we ultimately have to have some self-awareness, and going to treatment, or support groups, or hanging out with just a group of like-minded individuals, whatever. I think getting out of yourself and just being an observer of it all will really give you some insight into yourself, so you can take that responsibility, step into your actual reality, and then that commands a new presence for you.
Absolutely.
And I think that's the joy you can give yourself. You get to save yourself.
Yeah, you can.
You don't have to enlist anybody else into it. You don't have to share your story. But I think being honest with yourself about what you really want and what you're willing to live for, and you can change whatever that mission is. Find your mission, find your purpose, hold on to it, stick true to your values, and that'll lead you to out of the rocky shoals. Get away from the banks. Go sail. A horizon is there. You deserve it. And you're here, and you get to do all these amazing things. You get to help me. I called her the other night. She talked me down from something that was just preposterous. But I just needed to get it out of my head.
It wasn't preposterous.
It was, well, what have you. I just needed to say it to someone who I trusted.
Thank
I'm
you.
like,
That means a lot.
My first, second, and third thought are wrong. It doesn't feel right, but it's still here. Can you help me interrupt this? And it helped. So thank you. Thank you for being my battle buddy.
Of course. Oh, I haven't heard that in so long.
Yeah.
Thank
And
you.
we're all here for each other.
We are.
Thank you for coming on and sharing all the things. And we have your brochures out in the Resource Center.
You do.
And this is really cool.
If you want, I can also give you the phone. God, you're making me emotional. I can give you the phone number for each of the facilities, or I can, we'll talk offline to see what would be the best form of contact. But you don't even have to call us. You can just walk in and just say, hey, I'm a veteran. I'm, the spouse of a veteran. I need someone to help me. And we will do that. I have to tell you that it is important, if you have a person that you trust, a family member that maybe you want the doctor to be able to communicate with, make sure you sign an ROI. I think a lot of people do not understand what an ROI is and the importance of it. So it's a release of information form.
Yeah.
And that allows a doctor to communicate with your private doctor, to communicate with your sister, your spouse, to even say that you are there in treatment and that you haven't discharged. Because I can't tell you how many times I have a spouse call me, I need to speak with my husband who's in treatment, but the husband didn't sign an ROI.
Yeah, we just want to let our loved ones know that we're safe.
Yeah, I can't even tell her that he's there.
Yeah.
So that's important.
Well, that's great that you guys, you kind of usher the person into signing an ROI. So that's great. Thanks for doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I know you're a mama of a service members now, so you're like, you better sign that ROI, son, so I can call and check in on your ass, make sure you're okay.
I'm like, you don't have to sign it. You're just screwed. You've got the opportunity, just don't sign it. It's on you.
Well, thank you for your advocacy work, for sitting on all the boards, even though you don't get paid for it, but you get overpaid, right? Because of what you get back from it.
I do.
That's what my dad says. He runs a nonprofit as well. He's like, we don't get paid, but we like to say we get overpaid. And I think that's so beautiful because it's true. And if you want to get overpaid, you can come down here and volunteer. And it's true. Yeah.
You get paid with love and snacks.
Yeah.
And gratitude.
We had an amazing woman come into our lives last week and give us some funding. And let me tell you, that day, a woman walked in here, and to be able to give her direct services, single mom, kids, Marine, right? She needed all these things, and we got to deliver them to her right there. Man, it was awesome. It just changed me. Each one of these instances changed me. And another guy, and another, and like, this is awesome. Keep finding us. We'll keep changing lives. You keep showing up. Change your own life. Share your story. Let's get through this together. You matter. You're enough. And we all deserve to be here on this earth together. We'll figure it out.
We will.
We'll figure it out little by little. So, yeah. Let's just keep talking about it.
Absolutely. I honestly, I think that's so important, is to keep talking about it.
We need us.
We do. Yeah. We definitely do. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for being on the show. Thanks
for
everyone being here today. And thanks to our production team as well. So, yeah, give us a call. Call the crisis hotline. Just show up. You can walk into the Behavioral Health Connections anytime, like Cynthia said. Cindy, I don't know.
It's up to you. It's after 5, so
we'll get to know each other. All right. Yes. Thank you for your service. Thank you for showing up for those who have served. And don't forget that, just don't forget that you're enough. All right. We'll see you next time on the Spotlight.
Thank you. Bye.
It's kind of hard to close that one down.
It is. Yeah. It's funny because
There's
I move
so
this?
many other resources out there that
There are. No, there really are. And